At this point in time, we are also joined by Mr. Alok Mehta, Editorial Director of ITV. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense expert, also with us on the program. Senior Doctor, Dr. Gilada, Dr. Ishwar Gilada with us on the show as well. And disaster management expert, Mr. Mihir Bhatt, with us on the program as well. Mr. Gilada, Mohammed Ali Shah, if you can hear me.
Yes, mate. Loud and clear.
Ali, a few things that we should definitely not get into at this point in time. Number one, let's not try and figure out what went wrong. There are, competent authorities, more competent than you and me or anybody else, who are going to conduct a probe and figure out what really happened. Secondly, it will be blasphemous to politicize what's happened here. If political parties start jumping in and criticizing whose fault it is, that should not be entertained or admitted. Thirdly, let's not speculate also what really happened over here. But the fact of the matter is that India is a country where, our railways is considered a backbone. It's the spinal column of how the country functions, of how, the people in the country travel back and forth from one place to the other. It is also a big galvanization force when it comes to the economy of the nation as well. But definitely, there are a few checks and balances that can be spoken of. Ali, the report that we're getting at this point in time is that the impact of this collision was so, in fact, strong that, the first few bogies from one of the trains, they actually flew into the air. They lifted a few meters up in the air and then fell back down, smashing into the ground. We hate to, in fact, fathom and imagine what must have happened to the people inside of it. But definitely, like Dr. Gilada said, there has to be some sort of a method infused into this madness.
Preet, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with the fellow panelists and 100%. Firstly, my heartfelt condolence to the Preet family. I know it's very, very difficult, painful. Imagine boarding a train and traveling somewhere with excitement that you would be meeting your colleagues or relatives, or you would be going home on your vacation or whatever. And imagine the people on the other end of the station waiting to receive you, that you will probably arrive in so many hours, keeping a track of the train, however late it is, and receiving this disastrous news. My heart really bleeds. It's really sad. Now, the very fact, I totally agree with you, talking about what could have happened, why and how, what, people would be speculating. Leave that aside, no point. Now, what we can do further and to avoid such a thing in future. Firstly, the impact was so strong, you are right. The impact was so strong that bogie on top of a bogie, and it turned around, and it's painful to even imagine. Now, the very fact in Soro Hospital in Balasore, I'm told thousands of people have gathered up to give blood, and overnight, in a few hours only, they could immediately, within hours, they could collect in thousands of blood units. But at the same time, the painful part is there were a lot of dead bodies in different, I don't want to even describe it, you can only imagine. That's about it. Now, the very fact is that people have been helping out. The Chief Secretary, Mr. Pradeep Jena, in fact, he has said that people are coming out to help, and the rescue teams at it continuously. The NDRF team, the army, everyone is totally at it. Now, as Dr. Ishwar rightly said, there should be a regulation for railways as well. I have travelled in the railways in general dibbas, in military dibba, in unreserved, in RSC, in reserved, in AC, in all kind of form. In the army, we used to get proper reservation many times. We had to just travel. And I have found many times at nights what happens, the people from general dibba, the general compartment, who do not have reservation, they enter the sleeper coach and they sleep on the floor by putting a newspaper or a bed sheet or a shawl or somewhere. So there is no regulation as far as that is concerned. It happens and people would say, no. But let me tell you, everyone, all of us have gone by trains. All of us have experienced a time when a fan isn't working in the train. When there can be seat belts in aeroplanes, in cars which are moving at high speed, I see no reason, as the doctor rightly said, I totally agree with him. There should be seat belts also in the train. There should be a proper regulation there. Now, the very fact, how do we regulate that? Because there are so many people, armed Janta of India, the masses travel by trains. They can't afford an aircraft. How do they? It will be a challenge. But if an innovation can be brought out, we have geniuses in our country. We have toppers from international universities, from IITs, IIMs, I mean, I'm sure some solution can be worked out if proper brainstorming can be done about it. Thirdly, rather, I would say that, whenever a disaster like this takes place and we lose all hopes, and I'm telling you, there have been doctors on spot who have seen the disaster situation, and apparently what is being reported is it's very difficult for survivors to be found in that. I totally agree. But at the same time, I would say, please hold strong. My message to the bereaved families, to the people who are affected, please hold strong. Miracles do happen. You never know. Behind a debris of a train, think positive. There could be survivors still there. I hope, keeping my fingers crossed and praying. Prayers do work. Prayers have never underestimated the power of prayer. If you pray, never know. What if you find it's something where people have given up completely, the rescue teams, not here, elsewhere. We have seen it happen in Turkey. We have seen it happen in Syria. We have seen it disastrous. India did a very fine job, and they are tried and tested. They are people of credibility. Our armed forces, our doctors were there. I'm talking about Syria and Turkey earthquake. But yet, in the debris, they were survivors there. And when you look at that, you say, oh my God, how did it happen? Such kind of a casualty, unimaginable. They are people, and my heart says, I'm conveying a message to people who have been affected by it, whose friends and families have met with casualties in this accident. Hold strong. Just hold strong, and keep praying. And I'm certain that things will be, hopefully, all will be well with you all. I mean, that's the least I can offer. I can offer my condolence, all right, and moral support for them. I mean, and the kind of support and the kind of help people are getting, it's overwhelming. Be from Delhi, from anywhere, let us know. We are ready to give blood. I have friends over here in Delhi who are ready to give blood, donate blood in Delhi, but that won't help much over there. I hope it helps. So you are ready. I'm sure Dr. is ready. In fact, Sir is ready over here. We are all ready. So hold strong, and I'm sure God is there to help us all.
Mohommed Ali Shah, defense expert, still with us on the program. Ali, although Kavach is something which is almost installed in most of the networks throughout the country, this is one route where the anti-collision system of Kavach was not installed. The signal passed, the SPAD technology has not been adopted here. What do you think is the way from here in terms of making sure that, train travel by the 15 million people of the country does not suffer, their confidence does not suffer as a result of this tragedy?
Okay, Vineet, we are not a very rich country. We are not a very, so most of our countrymen can only afford to travel by train. Many of them wouldn't have even sat in a flight ever. Not everyone is as privileged. So the very fact, it's a very known fact that our masses, our majority of Indians travel by train. Now, I will talk from an army point of view, from the Fauji point of view. If you ask me, I spoke to a very dear friend of mine just now over the phone some time back, and Major Tur, and he told me, sir, a terror plot cannot be ruled out completely because it's happened earlier. So I'm talking totally from that perspective. I'm not saying it has happened. I'm saying it cannot. The inquiry will tell, but anything can happen. So this cannot be ruled out completely because a large train accident, large casualties. I mean, in 20 years, I don't know how many years. In 20 years at least, for sure, I can vouch for the fact I haven't heard of such a train accident, such a casualty. So most certainly, they could be a terror plot by. I'm not saying I'm not even speculating what could have happened. And as you said earlier, it would be blasphemous for any political party to jump in and to point fingers at anyone, because it's an accident, or even if it's a sabotage, whatever it is, fine. Secondly, now I would say, what are the preventive measures? People who travel by train, we all do have travel by train. In fact, even the privileged ones who travel by even chartered aircraft have traveled by train sometime on the other time. So everyone has traveled by train. And it is no security secret that people travel by train, they hang by train. I have traveled by local train in Mumbai, hanging outside, literally. So I have traveled in the most luxurious ways and in the most rough out ways as well. Now these are well researched by people and people know of it. So the very fact is how we prevent it. Well, the railway ministry has to sit down and formulate some other. They are doing a good job as it is. I'm not saying that they're not. They're doing a good job. They have to come forward once again and make some other plan. They have to get innovative methods. And as the doctor was saying earlier, for example, it's just an example. He mentioned about seatbelts. Similarly, further more innovative methods can be used. There are signals beneath. Many times the train stops and unscheduled, and there's a signal or the train passing by, or you give a preference to a train which is super fast, or all these things happen. But when a train, a charter is like, for example, in the flight, the flights get delayed because of bad weather, ATC doesn't give signals, clearance. Fine, I agree, I understand. That happens not very often, once in a while. But a train getting delayed happens most of the time. For Indian Railways, with all respect, I am saying, we all know it's being late by a couple of hours. It's something is considered to be normal. A train is late. So now, if a person is sitting with an, God forbid, with ill intentions, with a way of somehow, these guys have their means and methods, then how do we avert such a thing? An accident is an accident. It's very, very unfortunate, and that has happened, and really my heart bleeds. But what if they could be? I'm not ruling that out. As you said, the inquiry will rule that out, what exactly happened, what took place. But in future, such a thing doesn't happen either by accident or by sabotage or by our own means. I have rescued people who have fallen off the trains and who have lost limbs. But ultimately it is, so these are things which we have to actually be very, very careful about. And अपनी हिफाजत, हमको करनी है. We have to look after our neighbors. Neighbors mean not the one who's residing with us, who's traveling with us or someone. So it is extremely sad, and it's very, very difficult time for the people. For who have lost their near and dear ones. I can well imagine the pain. I can well imagine the agony. I can well imagine. We all are with you in our thoughts. Any support everywhere. A disaster happens, a natural calamity. We all get together. We contribute our own resources, strengths, energies, prayers. Here it is, we all have to stand together as one nation and be with the families who have been affected by this fleet.
Ali, the government machinery, the bureaucratic support, all coming in to make sure that this is not only an accident, but it also serves as an example that, despite the differences that different states, different parties, different ideologies may have, when something like this transpires in the nation, we are all one collective group of Indians.
Vineet, absolutely, and we must. And in fact, so far I haven't heard anything that anyone would try to politicize this. I hope not, and we stick to it and we stand together as one as Indians on such a sorrow hour, in such an hour where we all are grieving. It's a personal loss to each one of us, not just to the families. They knew them personally, but we all are connected with them as Indians, and today it's happened to them. Tomorrow it can happen to anyone who's traveling by train. We all travel by trains. We all travel. So tomorrow it can happen. There's a large number of casualties, such a huge train accident. If at all, it's a sabotage beneath. I'm telling you, our agencies are going to take into this matter. And however it is, I'm sure they will get the root cause of it. It's not going too far. I have full faith in our government's inquiry when it sets up, whatever the reason be. Because it makes me cry, Vineet. It makes my heart bleed. A casualty of this level, and the way when you described it, the impact was such, I could visualize. When you were talking, I could see the bogies flying up in the air, and imagine, it's beyond imagination, beyond comprehension. It is something the entire nation should stand united as one. And not just that, I'm certain everyone is in moral support with India at this moment. The entire world is standing with India at the moment. And God be with us, Vineet. God be with us. I'm sure, Indians are good people. Good things will happen for us, hopefully in the future.
Ali, appreciate your thoughts.